This is cool. This
So
is
I will
very cool.
be able to see the comments on your end. So if there's one that you want to answer, just go ahead and dive in. So good evening, guys.
Good evening. Hello. Pleasure to meet you guys.
You too. I was so excited. Like I've been so excited. So who's fronting?
That's amazing. Thank you. We've been excited as well all day. It's Hin at the moment, but Hanu is here as well. Hello.
Hey,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too. So it's
Thank you.
Jenna fronting with Lil like right here. So at any moment she
Awesome.
might burst through with exuberant like 8-year-old girl energy. Um, so there's all that.
That's amazing. So, who did you say was fronting at first?
Jenna. And let me
Jenna.
I think that light might be a little bright. Hang on. So we're my husband's at a work conference, so we're in our camper, our travel thingy. So let me see.
That's
I think that's a little better light wise. There we go. So, about how many are in your system?
about 320.
Larger system. I got a friend just
Yeah.
discovering the system, and I think it's going to be large too.
Oh, true.
Mhm.
Shit. Yeah, that like the size of our system used to scare us. There was a time where the when we first found out about a condition, it was Hanu in control, and then me, Hin, kind of like fighting for control. And there were only five, and we were like, oh, at least we don't have like 10 or 20. But that mindset kept us kept the rest of them repressed for so long, and then when I finally accepted it, it was like okay, and then just came flooding out, and all these memories and flashbacks for months on end just came through. But um,
Okay. All right. I've taken it off of Wi-Fi, so hopefully, hopefully it'll be better now.
oh yeah, it's feeling a lot smoother now. Yeah, we can hear you guys now.
Fantastic. So,
Awesome.
I was saying I don't know, how to count some of them because if they fused, do I count them as two alters or as one alter? Because in our experience,
Yeah,
like fusion is not necessarily a permanent state. Like we've had several fusions that have like come undone and some that have stuck, and so, but they still seem to be, I don't know. So we don't know how to count that.
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I think fusion is something that we were very heavily working towards, but it was because we were afraid of judgment. We just wanted to be fused and done with, so we wouldn't have to be judged. But we're like, well, fuck it. Kind of can't help it at this point. Everyone already knows, so
Well, at first it was like so terrifying. Like I would just let me go back to how it was. I just want to be one person with one like perspective. And once again, because I was afraid, and then it flipped, and I was like, well, I don't want to lose anybody. So then I got afraid of fusion because, like, I would miss my team, and
yeah,
then we just came to because we had a fusion that happened naturally, and we're like, you know what, we're just let the brain do what it does, and if it wants to do that, that's fine. We're not going to like, we're just going to work toward healing, and whatever the brain does in that process, we'll let it be.
that sounds great. I feel like that's the best approach is just to let it happen how it wants to happen. Kind of can't really force it, anyways.
Right. That's like, I've researched it, and it looks like, some systems don't want to fuse and they end up fusing, and others actively want to fuse, and the brain just can't bring that together. And I was like, why should I stress about something that is totally outside of my control? Like,
Yeah,
I didn't stress out like my team because I'll be in the back like worrying and it'll bleed through. So, hey, how long have you known? Like, I want to know about, because you're diagnosed, we're both diagnosed, so I want to know about your diagnosis journey, if you're cool with sharing.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So, um, okay, so it was me, Hanu. Hello. I was the first alter to really realize what was happening, and it happened in the middle of 2019, towards the end of 2019. I knew that, yeah, the middle of 2019, I knew something was going wrong with me, because I was feeling things, and I at the time was not used to feeling things. I was a very stereotypically stoic kind of man, and I didn't have emotions. I didn't feel pain. That was normal for me. And then I started feeling intrusive thoughts and anxious thoughts and suicidal thoughts and all these voices. Um, oh, it says I've lost connection. I don't know if I'm still there. Can you guys still hear us? Um, yeah. So then, yeah, 2019 was when I realized something was wrong, and so against my will, and after a lot of like arguing with people, um, they convinced me that something was wrong with me because they were saying I wasn't quite myself. Because it makes sense now, but they were used to him, which is the one that you guys are used to, very sociable and very friendly. And I was more like a problem solver, very logic driven, and like would make decisions that were very cutthroat because I just did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, they're like, I used to be a lot nicer, and I thought I've always been this way. And then they always thought I was angry just because I sounded angry, but for me, I'm like this is me calm. So yeah, eventually I was convinced, so I went to the doctors and I was like, hey, people are telling me something's wrong. Maybe they're right. I don't know. And then yeah, we did a K10 test, which is an assessment. You answer a bunch of questions, kind of like, how have you been feeling the last 4 weeks? How often did you feel hopeless? How often did you feel depressed? And then after like the fifth question, I just broke down in tears. Um, and then from that point on, it was like, okay, I know for sure I need therapy for something, and I didn't know what. And so it was a process then of going to different specialists and just taking assessments with them. And I think I went through like four different assessments, and I just kept getting bounced around from place to place because they couldn't really figure out what was happening. And it was through that process and struggling to find help that I did my own research online and went and read the DSM and found a bunch of interviews of people struggling through different mental conditions and how they overcame it. And then I stumbled upon an interview of someone with D.I.D, and then I saw the little switch in, and then something just clicked, and like all the memories of our littles hanging out, it just all made sense, and I was like, oh, I think I have D.I.D. And then yeah, I went to a doctor then and was like, yeah, I think I've got D.I.D. And that was kind of it. But there was so much more in between, like so many signs that we knew and then kind of repressed and then knew and then shut down. It was like we all took turns being in denial and coming back and forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite a journey. So about 2 years, 2.5 years now. Yeah. How about you guys?
So about 4 years in, and it's fun because Jen is like Hanu, the very like, you know, not a whole lot of emotions, get it done, not feeling pain. Like um
Mm-hmm.
we've actually had where the body was, we were getting a migraine and we didn't have access to medicine and it was coming in strong, and Jen was just like, let me front, and it went from like could barely focus to not even needing to take a pill because it was fine, so just like much much less pain sensitivity. And our first fusion was actually before we knew we were a system. So Jen was hosting through our teen years and to our mid-20s. And when we got pregnant, like we had this dream that there was a brother and a sister that used to live in a house together, but the sister had to go away because it wasn't safe. And now she was coming back and woke
Mm-hmm.
from the dream terrified, like, no! Instinctively kind of understood, like, even not knowing that I was a system, like, understood that this was a part of myself that I had, like, pushed away and didn't want it. But it came anyway, and that's when Jenna became like the host, um, this fusion. And so then, like 4 years ago, I had a dissociative episode, but I didn't know that's what it was. I just went like numb, robotic for several days. And Hubs was like, "Are you okay?" No, like I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on. So I started therapy because I was like, clearly, I thought I was good. I thought I healed from my childhood stuff, but like, clearly, I'm just good at avoiding triggers, which was absolutely it. Like, I'm bananas at avoiding triggers. Um,
Mm.
so I started therapy, and I'm like 9 months in, all that time just learning to tolerate my emotions because,
Mm.
like, no, we don't feel those things. They're ew. We're logical Spock people. We don't feel emotions. Uh,
Yeah.
and like those emotions that opened up enough of a link that E could make contact with me and kind of like you said, like suicidal thoughts, all these intrusive thoughts from when she had been locked away. Everything she hadn't
Mm.
suddenly opened and just flooding.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And how long was it until discovering to deciding to work together?
Oh gosh. So you also do you live with your girlfriend? Because you have a partner as well. Um, were were you guys together when your system became active?
mm, y- so when our system first became active, we were actually engaged to someone, and that unraveling of our brain kind of tore the relationship apart.
Yeah.
And so we ended up having to, yeah, leave that relationship.
Yeah.
We gave one of us gave them an ultimatum, and obviously that's a terrible thing to do. And so the relationship fell apart. So we parted ways, and it was as amicable as it could be.
Yeah.
But it was a hard time. Yeah, and then so we were kind of on our own, and then yeah, figuring out we were a system. But then afterwards, we started seeing someone, and yeah, they kind of were with us while that was all coming together,
Yeah.
and like sense.
So what helped me to answer your question, cooperate, was my
Mm-hmm.
hubs. So we'll have been married for 20 years this coming March. Um, and he was with me through the
Wow.
journey. And so when I told him, I was like, there's an angry teenage voice yelling at me in my head. Um, and I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And he
Yeah.
said, well, did you ask her what she's mad about? And I said, no, I am not trying to encourage this. I'm trying to make the voice go away. I'm not trying to talk back to it. And,
Mm-hmm.
but that was exactly what needed to happen. And so
Yeah.
because he has been so like intuitively understanding, um, like it was really helpful because he could accept my alters before I could. And it helped me to accept them when he would talk about them and be like, oh, well, they're this way and they're that way, or I love this about that. And I'm like, really? You like anything about that? Alter exhibit A, So
Yeah.
we probably, I would say E and I made peace within a couple months, but largely because Jonathan was there, like encouraging me and being like, "No, this is fine," and she's got a reason she's mad. How about you guys?
Mm. That's beautiful. Honestly, that's really beautiful. For us, fuck, it took about a little less than a year to start working together. So it was me, Hin, and Hanu fighting for control for months on end.
Yeah.
And this was before we knew what D.I.D was. We just like we could hear each other and see each other, so we hallucinate each other visually, and so we were just like finding ways to suppress each other and being so scared to go to sleep and not knowing when we'd wake up next.
Yeah.
And I wanted control of the body again because I think I went dormant during my early 20s, and so we're in our late 20s now, and so I lost a lot of time to taking over. And And as well as that, being in past relationships, I was shut down because I was the social alter, but I wasn't a good partner. And so
Right.
when we got into a relationship, our brain was like, okay, well, him's not good enough. We'll just make a new alter. And then our brain created someone new that was perfect for the person we were dating. And then so I specifically dating someone, and well, Tahan was the one who dated that person. But when we'd go to parties, I would come out and then I wouldn't recognize our partner, and our partner wouldn't recognize me. She'd say something to me and I'd be like, hello. And then she'd just give me this look like, who the hell are you? And
Mhm.
so I think she knew back then, but couldn't quite put a finger on what it was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so when I woke up from dormancy. Hanu had been in control, and he was kind of like, he has your body back. And I was like, what the fuck has happened? Why are we not a musician? Why the hell are we working in a bank? What are we doing? Like, this is not the life I anticipated.
Right.
And so, but Hanu being like in our head, he's already in his 30s. So, he's making like adult decisions. And I'm like, I just want to play music, dude. I just want to have fun and live like the young life that I never really got to enjoy. And so there was a lot of fighting and like disagreements for like what we were supposed to be doing. But Hanu was real sneaky because he in yeah. So hello, Hanu here. In my perspective, I knew that you can't really make a child do anything, and so you have to let them run their course and learn from their own mistakes. So I just let him host, and I was like, all right, well, if you want to lead, then you lead, and then you. I didn't tell him, but in my head, I was like, well, you have to grow up, so you have fun leading. Yeah, and so I became the host, and then it was great at the beginning, and then I had responsibilities, and then I had to grow up real fast. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, eventually I was like, I can't do this alone. So that's when I was like, all right, honey, let's work together and fucking figure this shit out. And then so yeah, then we started working together. Um, yeah, and it's been great ever since. I think once I calmed down, it's like both of us takes care of the most, and then as new alters or like old alters wake up from dormancy, we help integrate them, and now we're like fully like a calm, very peaceful system. So it's good. It's real good.
Yes. Same. We
Yeah.
I try and let new systems, like anyone who's like, I'm just discovering my system, I'm always like, it gets better. I promise you, like, it won't be like
Yeah.
this because, like, our system works together. When people talk about like functional multiplicity, we're there.
Mm.
Like, are, we were always high functioning, but whatever. We work
Yeah.
together, we share the life, we share the body. Um, And life is so much better now than it was before. And I think
Yeah.
it's hard for people because, like, now I'm diagnosed with a very stigmatizing mental disorder, but no, like, I am so much healthier and happier than I've ever been.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandably. We feel exactly the same, and we've even stopped seeing it as a disorder. Like we refuse to
Mhm.
use the word disorder, we use condition instead, because we see it as a blessing. Like and this is like a lot of people say like we're just romanticizing the condition, but no, we're just like happy about life because
Yes,
we, even more than one of us, we have the ability to do so much. Like Broly can train and fight. Hanu can train, and he's like really good with nutrition and like science and logic. I can play music and sing. Good at sports. Like we can do so much. It's crazy. We just have to figure out how to make it work. And now that we've made it work, it it's awesome. It's awesome.
exactly. We use the term neurodivergent all the time. We are just like, we have a
Yeah.
neurodivergence. Our brain works differently, but it's still working. It's not actually dysfunctional. Like it's
Yeah.
totally doing, and in some ways, like it works better because it's separate. Um, like you said, there's all this that you can do.
Yeah. I
I
think the hard part is like the part that makes it debilitating is that society and people can't grasp an understanding of it, and so they freak
Mhm.
out, and so it makes us scared. We're like, well, why are you guys scared? Like, if you're scared, I should be scared.
Yeah,
You know? Uh,
yes. Yes. I think that was really helpful for me as well because when I told my therapist like that I was hearing this voice, she said, "Well, is it internal or external?" I said, "Oh, it's definitely internal. It's just not mine." And
mm,
she said, "I think this is a good thing. I think this is healing." And because she wasn't afraid of it, I was like, oh, okay, that's good because it's not stopping. Um,
Yeah. I think, yeah. Oh shit.
so I have somebody in my comments say it seems like he switches more seamlessly than you, and it's really cool seeing different systems. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do a live with you guys is um, because D.I.D. TikTok, we're educating, but if people are just watching like one educator, systems vary wildly because they're formed unique to the trauma that they needed to survive from. And system presentation, people have been like, this system looks really different from yours. Are they fake? And I'm like, no, no.
Yeah. Mhm.
And you had it was when you made that video, I was like, I need to have them on about how your guys' switches have become so much more seamless since being on TikTok. Um,
Yeah.
And so do you think that's a process of switching like more frequently, less infighting therapy? Like, what is that for you guys?
It's probably a combination of finding all of our triggers and then
Mm-hmm.
purposely exposing ourselves to them so that we overcome them. So as soon as we find a trigger, we're like, all right, let's get onto that. So, for example, one of our triggers was the presence of aggressive men because a lot of our trauma came from, violence from men.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've just gone, all right, Broly, off to training. And then so we go and expose ourselves to literally fighting people. And so we've become so familiar with that it no longer triggers a reaction. We can literally be in danger and it doesn't force a switch at all. So that for sure. So finding and we call it like abolishing or removing triggers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Singing really helped because the way, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but us as alters kind of have like access to only certain parts of the vocal range.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we need to sing a song as like high and low parts, we need to be able to work together. So that forces the teamwork between like me and me, Hin, and Tahan for the high parts and Broly for the low parts. And so we can't hate each other. And then I guess radical self-acceptance, and we had to overcome a lot of prejudices that we had for other people as well as ourselves. So for example, me, I grew up in a very toxically masculine environment, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was very homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
And Tahan being bi was impossible for him to exist in our system in a state of peace with me being homophobic. So I had to learn a lot of what my perspectives that I had were wrong. And once I sort of overcame those and worked through those, it's like I accepted a part of myself, because Tahan is a part of myself. He's just a more feminine, a bisexual part of me, but it's still me, just not me the alter. It's me the wholeness.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of that, like, and the therapy and the trauma processing, like the
Yeah.
flashback processing, that shit is exhausting.
It's so
But
hard. Oh my gosh, yes.
yeah, and it takes up so much time. Like that's the worst part. Like we don't even mind how violent they are or how traumatic they are. It's literally just like, why can't I get a whole day without having to deal with one flashback? So yeah, I think a combination of all that, and I guess we stopped caring about how we were perceived when we switched.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, one day we caught up with someone and they were just like, fuck, your switches are really, really seamless nowadays. And then so we were like, pull up the camera and record it. And we're like, wow, it is too. Because it used to take like hours. And then it got better. It was like minutes and seconds. And now it's like half a second or a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a combination of all that. Um,
Absolutely. Like, and in all of that, I really resonate with that. The radical self acceptance is a huge one because so I grew up in we went from our traumatic experience into a conservative evangelical like church environment. So my brain went from abusive father figure to abusive father God. Okay, that makes sense. And it just, compounded the trauma. And so when I had alters that were gay, like I had already come out of that and I was kind of deconstructing all of that, but it was still like very shocking for me. Um, because
yeah.
I had been, you know, to my awareness, I had been straight. And to have to really accept, not just be like, no, it's fine that people are that way. It's not a sin. It's fine. To, oh, wait, I am also that way. It was very difficult. Um,
Yeah.
but we find also that the more we switch, the easier. So Lil has co-hosted before, even though she can age slide up to like 16, she tends to front as a little, but like she's a boss. She gets stuff done. Doesn't have any social anxiety, which oh my god. Like she could just exist in the world and is confident that like it's fine. Um but our
That's amazing.
switches are so smooth because she fronts all the time. So like if if we switch now, it would take a second because like I'm really zoned in. But a lot of times we'll just be doing whatever and then she's out because a puppy or because pudding or because like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's always the front.
She's like very near the front most times. The exception being like adult time because I'm like, can you please go back and go to bed or just go to your room and shut the door? Like just go away for a little bit, please. Or age up. Aging up works too. Just something. Um,
Yeah.
and so for us, they can in the inner world, like they have their own rooms and they can go into the room and shut the door and it drowns out what's happening like in the front. How about you guys? How's your inner world?
Wow, that's cool. So our inner world is very minimal.
Hmm.
It's um it's the inside of the Nebuchadnezzar, which is the ship from the Matrix.
Yes.
And we we all sit in those chairs with like the jack that goes into your neck,
Oh, that's so.
and that's thank you. And that's how we I guess connect to the front of the body. At first, we didn't have an inner world at first. We could only hear each other and see each other outside. So like we literally thought we were, ghosts or spirits. But then speaking with other systems, and I think it was Ace Harper and their system, they said that you can construct an inner world through therapy to use it as a way to help switching, and then afterwards you kind of don't need it. And so we started off with with the inside of the ship with one chair in the middle, and then we were all we'd all just stand around when we're not fronting, and then whoever's turn it is gets to sit in the chair and like plug into the matrix, and then like they get to front in the body. And then after a while, we're like, okay, we kind of need more than one at a time. And then we're like, well, it's our inner world. We can change it how we want. Let's add a second chair. And so we added a second chair. And then that helped us with the co-fronting.
Yes.
And then before long, we were like, all right, let's add 20 chairs. Let's just all get chairs, and then we can all be present. And I think that's how we like helped with the amnesia,
Mhm.
because if only one's front express is dormant, then the memory is only recorded to that one altar. But we were like, if we all plug in chairs, and even if one person's fronting, but everyone's still plugged in, they get to remember what's happening. And that worked. Like we remember everything now. It's insane how good our memory is. We can literally recall stuff from like 200 days ago of someone we met only once, and we can be like, give us a second, let us recall that conversation. We'll bring out the altar that was there at the time, and yeah, you said this, and it's just like crazy good. And then other that room, we have one separate room which we call like the training room or like the time chamber. And so it's a room that individual alters can go into, and then when they go into that room, that sort of becomes who's fronting, and we use that to process flashbacks. But it keeps it separate from the rest of the crew so that that alter can process anything that's way too traumatic. And then once they're done processing, they come back to the main room, and then they share the memory, and then we all kind of like process it together, and we're like, okay, that happened to all of us. Okay, good to know, good to know. And then go through the grieving process and whatever needs to be done. And yeah, that's our inner world. It's pretty simple, but we try to keep it simple.
Fantastic. And I actually use the Matrix to explain inner world appearance to people, because when they realize that, altars look different on the inside, I'm like, well, You know, like, have you ever seen The Matrix? When they're in the Matrix, they have their own, like, appearance. The idealized projection of their inner selves. That's what my brain has done. So in the inner world, they all have how they look. Like, and it's wildly varies. So I love that.
That's such a great explanation too, because we often don't speak about how we look like on the inner world because we don't spend a lot of time in there. We're very much like doing stuff, very like um, yeah, capitalistic. Just like I gotta work, gotta hustle, gotta do this. Not really like spending a lot of time in here. So that's really really cool.
Hmm. Um,
Mm,
so somebody said, do your alters sound different internally? Like when they're
yes, yeah, we sound like how we sound now, which probably doesn't make sense to the people listening because there's only one of us talking, but we'll get someone that sounds a little bit different. Hello, it's Broly here. Um, I don't know why I'm here. I'm not very social, but I'll stick around. Hello, hi. Um, yeah, we sound different. We have different cadence and different vocabulary, and we hold ourselves in a different manner, and yeah, different vocabulary. Did I say that? Yeah. I don't think Hin said, but I'm very antisocial, so I'm gonna disappear for a little bit.
you got.
Anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. He says no worries. It's Tahan here. Hello. I don't have as much social anxiety nowadays, so I'm happy to front and speak. But yeah, we do sound very different. It's kind of hard to tell, but once you like stick around for a while, you can kind of tell the difference. I
Yes,
think people who know us, they can tell the difference. Probably you and your partner and your system, like they can tell the difference for sure.
very much so. And that's exactly the differences in inflection seem minor to people who aren't used to it, but like um
Mm.
um hang on. Um so so for me as E, I enunciate a whole lot more. I tend to, and I don't mean to. It's just when I talk, I I really round out my words a whole lot more than anybody else in the system, and then I usually also hold the body a lot straighter. So our husband can tell if I'm just in another. I don't have to be around if I'm just talking, just because I enunciate just a little bit more. That and we tend to be a little more sassy. I would say the sass are me, Anthony, and JA, except JA is along the lines of like mean sassy, but she's not being mean to hurt. She's just being absolutely take no shit. So that's how she is.
Yes, we love that. Setting healthy boundaries.
Yes. Oh yeah. She is definitely the altar for that. One of my people said that's the fastest switch I've ever seen to yours. And not to sound rude, I wish we could do that. And we were just talking about you do that like through like self-acceptance, through therapy, through practicing. And I think the way you guys constructed your inner world really would facilitate. Like we have a conference room, but having something like that for the immediate headspace would probably help. Anthony was with like the one who would co-front the most, and uh, that was a unique experience for Jenna because she didn't have any co-fronting until then, and then to have somebody who at any moment would be in the front and then not in the front, uh, that definitely took some getting used to.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. That is so true because it's kind of like you're playing a video game and then your controller just gets taken over. You're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And then it's like, it's fine. I'm here to assist you. It's okay." It's like,
That's
all right, cool.
I'm gonna make this Mario jump for you, and then I'll give it right back. I promise.
Yeah, that's so perfect. Oh my gosh. And then sometimes like Do any of you guys used to be like, no, no, I can do this on my own. It's fine. I can do it. I don't need you guys. And then it's like, no, I do need you guys. Eventually, you just give in.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, and who was it? I'm trying to remember who was trying to tough out. Oh, it was Lil. Okay, so we have some medical trauma, and we had to go to the hospital for a minor like scope thing, and so Lil was in the front, and she was like, "I can do this." She's only ever out for puppies and rainbow stuff. She was like, "No, I can go to the hospital. I can do the hard thing." Okay. Have fun. Except that it turned out she did have fun because part of the procedure, we had to drink a chocolate milkshake, and then they could like scope and check out our gallbladder. And she was like, "I get a chocolate shake."
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, she was like, "This is."
Is she like the designated snack queen?
Say that again.
Is she like the designated snack queen?
Yeah.
Loves desserts and snacks.
Yes. And well, so we have we're chronically ill, which like some genetic bullshit, but we have a really constricted diet. So anytime that we're going to cheat on a dessert, Lil is like, "Excuse me, as the child, I feel like I should get to eat the dessert."
So good. So good. You have Pantheon is agreeing with you there. He's our snack lord, we call him.
Oh yeah.
Anytime snack nearby, he just jumps to the front, which is quite difficult when like he's got Hanu and Broly fighting him for be like, no, we need to like lean up for training, and then he's like, but I just want snacks, and it's just a constant war, constantly. So we're like, we've weaned him off like real bad snacks. Not bad. There's no bad snack, but like stuff that isn't good for what we're trying to achieve. And so we've
Right.
given him healthier snacks. So yeah, lots of fruits and bananas and frozen fruits and really healthy things. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's been good.
We have our
So
smoothies because like those are sweet. We put some honey in. Lil is like, "That is not a sweet. That does not count." Like, no.
oh shit.
Oh
Pantheon was the same. I think it took us like a bit over a month to wean him off it, and then introduce him to like those things like honey and
yes.
fruit. And he's like, "Yeah, this is pretty good." But then like one day, someone gifted us a chocolate bar, and he was like, "Oh, this is the best." And we're like, "Fuck, we've just undone like a month past."
Yes. Like you have been withholding from me lies. It's lies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like back when we didn't have like when we had fully processed our traumas, yet some days particular hosts wouldn't be able to front, and so that would leave whoever was in the body in control. And at times, Pantheon was in control while shopping, and we'd come back, and all our grocery shopping would be done, but like he'd only get half of what was supposed to be gotten, and then like just a bunch of candy, and he'd buy like six and like four packets of jellies, and he'd be like, "But they were on sale." And we're like, "Yes," which is great, but we don't need all this. So we'd end up like hiding them in places where he wouldn't be able to find them, and then when he'd come back, he'd hide them in places where we wouldn't be able to find them, and
Yeah.
it was just a big circus.
That is amazing. And yeah, um Lil will often switch out for grocery shopping because so Jenna has shopping anxiety because we've been poor a lot, so like having to count all the pennies and follow the list, and we don't have to like count all the pennies now. And so Lil will come out and she's just like, "We need snacks," and buy all the snacks. Like Jonathan will be like, "Hey, what's for dinner?" Well, Lil went shopping, so you might want to go out for dinner. Have snacks. We have so many snacks.
Ready for the week.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And she's that way about any kind of like shopping. She like if we need anything, she was like, I will go, I will buy the thing. She will buy all the things.
Should we open up like questions from people if they want to ask us anything?
Oh, I love
Since we're yeah. Do anyone in our comments or in Giano Systems comments, do you guys want to ask either of us anything? Yeah, that because I know we both have a lot of followers who have D.I.D or are suspecting that they have D.I.D and shit, God knows we could have used someone to throw questions at while figuring it out for ourselves.
that's exactly
So
to our channel because it was like, oh my gosh, if we had like someone to tell us these things in the beginning, it would be so much easier. Like just to know, oh no, that's normal, that's okay, you can expect this to happen. Like, yeah.
it's powerful. It really is powerful, like being seen and heard and understood.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions, how's Pantheon and his obsessions with candies? Is hello. I'm fine. I don't. I mean, I still love candy, but I don't have it very often, so it's fine. Yesterday I had a banana, and that was good. And today I'll have a banana again, and that is pretty good too. So, yep. Okay. Bye bye.
Wait,
There you go.
how
Oh,
old?
okay. Hello.
How old?
I am. I think I'm like 16 or 17 or 18 now. I think because when I woke up in the body, I was about 16. All my memories are from when I was 16, and then it's been about 2 years. So by chronological order, I should be 16. But then I also, it's strange because like our walls of amnesia have come down, and I have access to parts of the brain like Hanu's and Hin's. So I'm somewhere between 16 and late 20s. I have no idea.
That's fine. Like we slide, so it's Lil high. Um, and
Hello.
so I'll slide up to 16. Caleb also slides. He's been 16, so he started at like 6 and then slowly slid, and so he gets up to 16 and kind of like hangs out there. So now when he fronts, his voice is lower and it's funny. Um, no, I fully support all the snacks and hiding the chocolate. Like you've got to hide the chocolate. What the square? A square of chocolate. It is a square of chocolate. It is not going to break the body.
Just one chocolate.
Just one.
Well, I don't hide them anymore. That was like over a year ago. Now I just wait, and then I know that one day I'll get candy, and it will be good.
Oh my God!
It's
Comments wants to send me Dutch snacks. Please send me Dutch snacks, little Anna. It's probably expensive, so probably don't do that. But like, oh my God, yes, I want the Dutch snacks. That's amazing. I love.
oh, someone. Um, are you guys ever passively influenced to say things? To say things. I'm not sure what you mean. Can you guys answer that one?
Definitely. So, uh, like before Jenna knew that she had gay alters, she just would be like, we would have a really pretty like server, and she would be like, "Wow, you're just really beautiful." And the server, we had so many times the ladies would be like, "Are you hitting on me?" And she's like, "No, I'm married, I'm straight." And now we're like, "Yeah, yeah, somebody was hitting on her. It wasn't Jenna, but yes."
Oh, like someone speaking through whoever's fronting.
hmm
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were definitely like, she is really nice. She needs to know she's really nice. Somebody should tell her. So we have
Somebody's got to tell it. That's beautiful.
someone says, any tips on how to communicate better with ourselves? Been in therapy 13 years or so, but yeah. So tips on communicating better with themselves.
Mm. We've got some. If you'd like us to answer.
Yeah.
So okay. Hello, Hanu here. I believe that journaling is an incredibly underrated resource. Um, you want to use your journal as like a safe space for you only. Like even if you have a partner or family, it's just for you to put your deepest and darkest thoughts in, literally free of judgment. You can write whatever you want there and just let it come out. And use it as like a meeting point for you and your alters and say like, hi, this is our book. Whenever you guys feel like answering it, you can answer. If not, until then, that's fine. I'm just going to keep writing away. And so you want to create that safe space. Your alters are not going to come out unless they feel comfortable. And it starts with creating that space within your home or yourself and in your mind. And so the journal, I believe, is underrated. The next best thing I recommend is recording video messages to yourself. Um, that is, that was, and it isn't so much nowadays, but it was a real freaky realization when you are watching another alter
Yeah.
in the body, because alters, before confronting, you can't really be uh, conscious or aware of another alter. But when someone catches it on video and you can look at yourself and be like, that's not me, that's not my voice, I would never say those things, I never
Mhm.
have, but it's literally your body, you can't deny it. That's one of the most I guess sobering realities to hit you with, which can do a couple of things. Like that might shake you up and send you through a pretty dark spiral, but it could also just like really force you to mature and just tackle it head on. And so, yeah, I'd recommend journaling when you can, as much as you can, and then when you feel like you're ready to, start taking video messages and recording, leaving messages for each other.
Mhm.
Yeah, both of those I recommend.
Yeah, I that completely. External communication leads to internal communication. And make
Mm,
also helps with denial because when you're watching them and they hold the body completely different, they speak completely different, like it's really hard to be like, yeah, I'm totally faking, but I can't actually do that with my voice and my body. And
yeah.
I think the thing you were describing earlier also is a really good way to establish communication. I read a book called Healing the Fragmented Selves of Trauma Survivors, and it talks about a conference room. And they said, like once a week or whatever time frame works for you, just kind of holler back into yourself. I'm going to be in the conference room. I've made a room where we can all talk together, and anybody who has anything to say can join me in the conference room. And just show up and just wait. So just, imagine it. Go into your imagination and just kind of wait, do some nice deep breathing. Um, and if you do that consistently, they will start to show up. At first, maybe nobody will show up, but if you're every week being like, "Hey, I really want to hear you guys. What's important? What's concerning?" Um, and making that space, they have a lot to say. Like they're not going to hold out long.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they'll come flooding in once they know that they are safe. That's literally it, because they've never been safe. That's why they were created.
That's exactly it. Be safe and to be heard. And I tell people, like you can't always give them what they want, but just to hear and to understand why it is so important. So when JA first started fronting, she holds a lot of our male-based trauma, and she was like, the fuck, we are married to a man, like that's unsafe, that's like no, absolutely not. And so like sorry, I can't actually not be married to a man, but I can listen to her concerns and say, oh no, like 100% your experience has taught you that, like that you have those concerns for a very sane reason. You're not being unreasonable, but this is where we are, so how can I make you feel more safe within where we are?
That's beautiful. That's incredible, honestly. Having that compassion and yeah, helping them go through that as well. Because that's essentially overcoming triggers as well,
Yes.
and a lot of traumatic past. That's magical.
Yeah, they
Someone asked, and Well, sorry, you go. You go.
Oh no, I was just going to say someone said this is really helpful for someone who is in a relationship with somebody who has DID. So awesome. And by all means, you can ask questions in the comments as well. So go ahead.
Awesome. Someone said they don't know how to word this, but what was the hardest part of realizing what you have, DID, and how did you deal with it? Do you guys want to go first?
Um, I think really the hardest part for me is the way the world perceives it. Like Split had come out and like there's this whole so I'm the villain in all the TV shows, all the anything that has this disorder in it, basically that's me and I'm the secret murderer. Um so as I'm discovering I have this disorder, it's so stigmatized, like I don't want to talk about it because of how people would perceive me. So I think that for me was almost harder than having all these voices in my head because then I can't tell people like, oh my gosh, they're saying this without people going, no.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely agreed. How did you guys overcome that?
So there's an author named Brene Brown, and she writes about shame, and one of the things she talks about is one of the best things for shame is talking about it, and realizing that nobody's alone in their experience. Like humans have been around for a long time and no one you're not having an experience that somebody else hasn't had. So when I talk about it and other people then can relate, even if they're not multiple, but using like the language of trauma, people go, "Oh yeah, I get that." Like that helped me to be a lot more confident in saying, it doesn't matter how it's perceived. This isn't an isolating experience unless I make it an isolating experience.
Wow, that's powerful. This isn't an isolating experience unless I make it so.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's really powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, how about you guys? What was hardest for you?
For us, we honestly didn't mind the global stigma because growing up as a darker skinned Asian person in a predominantly white society, we had always been seen as the villain and would always face some sort of oppression and prejudice. So being the villain was not unusual for us. For us, the hardest part was how our friends and family would perceive us. Um, and yeah, we lost a lot of friendships fell away once we came out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how we how we overcame it was we just went and like uploaded a Facebook video and was like, "Hey guys, I got some news to share. I know you guys haven't seen me for about a year. I've been in isolation, but I don't know how to deal with this. But I have D.I.D, which used to be called multiple personalities. Here's me, Hin, and then here's Hanu, and then here's Pantheon. All right, see you guys later." And then we just like logged off Facebook for like another year, and we just yeah just threw it out there and was like, you know what, they can deal with it. We don't have to deal with it. They can deal with it. We're already dealing with this. And then yeah, eventually we came around like maybe 3 or 4 months later. We were like, all right, well, we still want our friends and family, but they need to stay up to date with how our brain's going. So I guess we'll update them through Instagram. And then we found TikTok, and then we were like, oh, we can update them through TikTok because back then Instagram was very much only photos. So we'd post photos and then write stuff and be like, hi, today it's Hin. Here's how I'm feeling. The next day I was like, hi, it's Hin and Tahan here. But on TikTok, you can literally just record, and it's much easier to perceive a system when you can see and hear the differences between the alters. So we started posting on TikTok, and then one of our videos got a lot of attention, and then another one, and then another one, and so it's kind of where it is now.
Yeah.
And I think being accepted by other systems was, yeah, what helped us accept it as well as that validation, because we couldn't afford the therapy and the professional treatment to like figure out what was going on back then. So we really leaned on online support groups, which is why we have like such a soft spot for like lives and streams and forums and all that, because they were always there when no one else was. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, for us as well, we information was so hard to come by on the disorder, which is crazy because the prevalent is more than the prevalence of OCD, just by like a point of a percent, but it's still a greater prevalence to have DID than it is to have OCD. And there's so little information on it. It's tragic. So we were online, we were in groups, forums, we found really good answers on Reddit. Fun community on Tumblr, but it wasn't really social on either of those platforms. It was really social on Facebook, but I found that platform kind of got a little toxic. And so someone was like, everybody's on TikTok. Like the systems are on TikTok and they play. And I was like, I would like to play and you know, make friends with other systems. And so we got on and Lil made a video and it blew up, and I wasn't expecting it because I didn't know anything about TikTok. I just knew that there were systems on TikTok, and I was like, I want to be with, you know, the community and get to, you know, socialize. And so yeah, that's how we ended up with our platform on here.
That's amazing. And
Yep.
it's such a validating experience as well to find others like you and be like, I'm not alone. I truly am not alone in this suffering. It's
Yes.
awesome. And I feel like we learn a lot from each other. Our inner world wouldn't exist if it weren't for Ace Harper, because she was like, we were scared to dive into the concept of an inner world. We're like, what if we fall in love with the idea of an inner world that we never connect back to reality and get on with our life? And they were like, no, you just create it and then it's there and then you can exist, and then when you're done with it you can leave it. And so now our inner world isn't as what's the word, it's not visual. Yeah, I guess it's not as strongly visual. It used to be, and we'd have to rely heavily on the visualization of our inner world, and now we just switch without even thinking. It's just a feeling. We built that trust with each other. So yeah, that's just one of the examples of like, we never would have gotten this far without the help of the community. So it's an amazing place to be.
Absolutely. And I've got a couple questions in my chat, and thank you, Fauna, for the gifts. Fauna says that her partner has strong amnesic walls and that they're in a lot of denial. Um, and that's one of the things that, like, denial is so prevalent because you have to be able to deny the trauma happened to even form DID. Like the brain uses that as a safety net. So for like all systems, I think denial is an issue. At least at sometimes we have a list for when it starts cranking up. Videos is on our list, like go watch the videos that you make. But then changes in perception. So I don't like salmon and Lil likes salmon, and I don't like salami and Lil likes salami, and like the physical taste is different. And so just things like that that I can't fake. Like I can't fake whether I like something or not. Um, so stuff like just keeping a list of that is helpful. And as for the amnesic barriers, like I think what helps with that is really just the more you communicate, the more you trust, the more you begin to like allow each other in your lives, the lower those get. How about for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much that. The building the relationships between the alters and building that trust. So part of the reason amnesic barriers were so high was because, we needed to keep those. Each alter had to hold their trauma separate from the rest of the system. Once each of us processed the trauma, and what that means is, like, for us, it meant laying down and revisiting that memory and just literally reliving it to the point where we get pulled so deep into it, we forget that we're in the current day.
Yeah.
We really think that we're there, and the body connects. It's like we travel in time and go back to what happened
Yeah.
so vividly that our body is like violently shaking over what's happening. But then as we're doing it, we're breathing through it like with a meditative trance. We're like, just breathing and like allowing myself to be like, this is fine, this is happening, and I am now safe. This is just a memory. And so once we've done that for each altar, or like, you know, maybe you start off with two altars doing that for their memories, then that's kind of like, okay, well, one altar has all their trauma taken care of. Now they can exist without being triggered. And because they don't have to hold anything a secret, they don't have to keep that traumatic experience separate, they can exist with the rest of the system. And so that's when our walls of amnesia started to go down.
Yeah.
And then the next part from that was building the trust. Like you'd have to, for example, me, Hin, if I was going to let Hanu take control of the body, I'd have to know that he would still let me do music if he took over.
Yeah.
Like I'd make him promise, be like, dude, if you take over, you can't just go and back and work in the bank. I know you're good with numbers, but I want to be a musician, and so we need to have this, you know, we need to work together. And so really building that trust, and that only comes with time. It's like any friendship outside of a system. When you have a friend, you know, you spend time with them and then you do things together, and then you go back home, you're like, oh, that was a good time, you know, I really enjoyed myself and I felt safe. And then the next time you hang out, there's more and more trust, and the friendship grows and grows and grows. So it just happens with time and trust. So I guess, yeah, those two are the main ones. And after that, the walls of amnesia start to dissolve, and then you can begin co-fronting, and that's when it like really just disappears, and
Yes.
where there's no amnesia anymore. And that's the crazy part, is like you think that you think you're always going to have amnesia, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and you look back and go, I can remember the last entire year. This is crazy good. So yeah, that really helped.